In the RSC First Client Challenge, over 184 people have gotten their first client, and I'm going to give you the exact cold DM script that they used along with the full strategy in today's video. So about 6 months ago, Dylan and I were sitting down and looking for a way to partner with more agencies that we can take equity in and eventually scale so we can make money. And we spent hours brainstorming and we didn't really find anything at all until the crazy idea came across the table that we should create these people ourselves and help people from absolutely nothing all the way to their first client, so that when they get to the point where they are making enough money with their agency, they have the goodwill built up to work with us. And at first, when this idea came across the board, it was really out there, right? Neither of us really believed it was possible. And even when I chatted with close business friends of mine, they thought, hey, I mean, if you can do it, great, but there's no way to take somebody with no experience, no results, nothing, all the way to their first client. If there was, then running a business wouldn't be valuable at all. But we decided to do it anyways, and thus the First Client Challenge was born. And immediately we began to doubt ourselves, and the first iterations that we had to actually teach people how to get their first client fell flat on their face. We weren't getting anybody results, and it was all around losses because we weren't getting what we wanted and they weren't seeing success. But that was until the point where we came up with the driving in the dark system. To drive in the dark, you can only see the first few meters ahead of you, but if you keep following those first few meters ahead of you, you're going to travel miles and miles and miles and go a very, very long distance. And we made it the exact same way with our system, where we only show the one step in front of people, the few meters in front of you, and if you keep following that, you're going to get very far down the road. And that exact system, that exact outreach system, is what I'm going to be showing you today absolutely for free. So before I give you the whole piece of the pie, I'd like to explain why the script actually works, because it leverages the only real asset you have, which is you, right? The only thing you have no results, you have no experience, but you have you. You have your story and you have your experiences as a beginner. And this script plays on that and leverages it to actually get into conversations with clients and eventually go ahead and close them on a free trial or a low pay-per-show commission offer. So my humble beginnings are a direct consequence of actually not following this system and doing the inverse of it, because what I used to do is I would make outlandish claims that I couldn't really back up at all, and because of that, people didn't trust me, and if they did trust me and they did get on an appointment with me, they wouldn't be interested in buying because they soon realized that I was a 15-year-old kid who had no clue what he was doing. So at a certain point, I was just fed up with, not really seeing any results, and I just decided, hey, you know what, I've got a lot of years to lose. There's no risk here. I'm just going to shoot for the stars. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say who I am, what I do, etc. And because of that, I actually got in. It worked like magic, and I was getting appointment after appointment after appointment after appointment. When I actually got into conversation with these people, it wasn't like before where they were skeptical of me on the sales call, trying to really, deduce if I'm that guy or not. They were interested in me. They were interested in who I am as my story. And because of that, I was able to actually work with a lot more people. So I bet you're glad to hear that I'm not going to beat around the bush anymore. Here's the framework for the script. It goes along the lines of full transparency. I'm an insert age in the process of growing my business. I was wondering if you'd be interested in me working for free to bring you more, whatever the client or customer in your niche is called, for free. And if you do see results, all I ask in return is a video testimonial. That is the framework for the script. It's extremely simple, and there you go. Now, before you go out and use this script, I want you to know that if you try it as it is right now, just raw without the rest of the strategy, it's not going to work. Because you have to remember that great power comes with great responsibility. It's from our friend Uncle Ben, and you need to be able to understand the whole system to actually have it see results. And luckily, it only takes 5 minutes to plug in, so stick with me while I quickly explain how you can actually use this. Numero uno is a niche, and once you have a niche, numero dos is going to be to actually set up an outreach profile that is strong, that invites people into your story and just shows who you are. I don't need to tell you how to do this. You have a camera roll filled with images of you, your friends, your life events, your vacations, whatever it might be, and I want you to take that, I want you to drop your ego, I want you to stop caring about what your friends think, and I want you to post them. Right? If you really do care and you're that self-conscious, I want you to make a new account and then post them there. But the point is that you need to share who you are, and you don't need to stall yourself and wait to take new photos that are good and that you think are professional. You just need to throw up exactly what you have right now, and that will suffice. Along with that, putting a bio that explains who you are, and you're good to go for the profile. So now it's actually time to go into what happens when we're going to message them. The first step is going to be to butter them up. Same way our witch did in Hansel and Gretel, everyone likes to be appreciated for what they've done. And we're going to do this, we're going to leverage this by doing something called pre-message interaction. And that is before we actually send out a message to a prospect, we're going to like 3 posts of theirs, we're going to comment on one, and that comment is not going to be, hey, fire emoji, sent you a DM, or something extremely surface level. It's going to be a deep comment that invites them into our story so they can see who we are and associate that guy who told a story and complimented them on their post to the actual message in their inbox. I once had a person who didn't really believe what I just told you, and the whole strategy of pre-message interaction is just operational drag that just slows down your outreach. And to prove that that person was wrong and that it really is worth your time, I went to Instagram and searched up gyms. And because this person was in the gym niche, found maybe the 4th gym down, and instead of, just messaging them with the fire emoji that they were usually doing, I left a comment that was a tad bit cringy and made a Batman joke. And even still, even with that bad of a comment and a hook message, I got the response which really proved and hammered home the fact that if you leave a comment that invites them into your story, that association I was talking about just now is so strong that you're going to get a response most of the time. And that perfectly segues into the second part of this, which is the hook message. I had a person ask me, hey, why are we sending a hook message to provoke a response if we're just going to pitch them right after immediately anyways? And the reason why is so that we can actually quantify if what we're doing is working or not. Because if we were to just immediately pitch somebody, if they weren't interested, they would leave us on red. And just leaving us on red doesn't give us data as to whether our script works or doesn't work. And also, it's a lot easier to actually keep someone in conversation once you've built up the goodwill through that initial hook message along with the genuine comment. In terms of actually executing this hook message, the best way of doing this is by asking a question that doesn't directly imply that you're going to be a customer. A really bad example of pretending to be a customer or implying it is in the soccer school niche. If you were to ask, hey, what days do you do training on for this program? When the person sees it on the other end, they're going to automatically just from the jump associate that you're going to be a paying customer for them. And because of that, when you pitch them and hit a 180, it's going to be extremely hard to actually get them over the edge because they feel like they've just been famoosed. An example of doing this properly could be in the home improvement niche. If you ask the hook question, do you service commercial or residential? It's a question that doesn't directly imply that you're going to buy from them just this moment. It's just a question about their business and what they do. So when you 180 with a pitch, it makes a lot more sense. And as long as you tie the hook message in somewhat to the pitch, you're going to be good to go. So Alex, why don't I just talk with these people and go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth? Why do I just pitch them immediately right after that? And the answer to that question is because it's fake rapport. Right? Business owners spend their whole day dealing with BS. BS, people trying to take their time, people trying to sell them on things. So when you try and lead on a conversation with them and go back and forth over Instagram, they can automatically tell that it is not real, it's not legitimate. And even if they do think it's legitimate, then they're not going to expect you to pitch them when you eventually want to get around to it. It's going to be like getting friend zoned by a girl. So now it's time to let the pitch fly in the outreach process. But before you let it fly, before you let it take off, I want to let you know that there's a way to spec it out with turbos and make it fly out of the orbit. And that is through doing what's called warm calls and video messages. Every single day, social media inboxes receive message on message on message on message, and a lot of them are scams, or a lot of them are bots that are just trying to famoose them and take their money. And these aren't even agencies, these are just complete scams. And because of that, the business owner, the person that is running the inbox, is always going to associate DM requests with bots, right? With people that aren't real, with people that are just trying to rip them off. Knowing that, they don't really see you as a human being, and it leads to people not getting treated like human beings. It leads to people saying, hey, screw off, hey, I don't want you, hey, blocking you, hey, leaving you on red. All these things you're dealing with right now, it is not your fault directly. Right? But you can circumvent it and you can work around it, because once a business owner either sees your face, hears your voice, or gets into a conversation with you, they're going to associate you and treat you with respect, much like a human being would to another human being, because you're finally another person to them. That is where these strategies come into play, because instead of delivering that pitch over a just straight up text message, we can either send it over a handheld selfie video, or what we can do is a warm call, where when they respond to us, we're going to look on their page, we're going to see if we can find a phone number, and if they do, we're going to pick up the phone and we're going to call them, get into conversation with them, tell our story, ask them a few questions about their business, and eventually lead them down the sales process just a bit faster in an accelerated fashion compared to going back and forth after the pitch. So that's the full strategy used by me and over 150 others to get their first client. And if it doesn't work for you, there's one of two reasons. Reason number one is because something is off somewhere in the process, something isn't right. And reason number two is because you just didn't take action in the first place. And no matter whether you use this strategy or any other one, you wouldn't have seen results because you're just not committed. And if it's any other reason than that, I'm willing to work with you for free. Just drop a comment on this video and I will work with you one-on-one to actually get you that first client, because I'm so confident that this will work for you if you decide to implement it.